Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Ryan. Ryan is from Vancouver, but he lives in Los Angeles in the USA. So let's see what Ryan has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello Ryan, I'm very well. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. What time is it there?
Now it's 4 o'clock, 4 p.m.
Oh, 4 p.m. Nice. Yeah, it's like 10 a.m. here. So,
Right. Okay, Ryan, where are you from?
Well, I live in Los Angeles, but I'm from Vancouver, Canada, is where I was born. So, yeah.
Ah. And what's the best part of living in Los Angeles?
I would say there's a lot of opportunity in Los Angeles, and there's always a lot kind of going on. I like the fact that you can do anything there, whether it's, going to the Oscars to, going to a taco stand on the side of the street. So the diversity is so populous in the city that that's the part that I like most about it, I think, is that it's kind of a cesspool of cultural diversity. So, and you can do pretty much anything there. So
I see. That's the reason why you moved to Los Angeles from Vancouver?
yeah, I think it was just to explore new opportunities too, and to have a little bit more options available. I love living in Canada. Canada's a great country. Vancouver's a beautiful city, and I did really like living there. I met some great friends and had some good relationships, and it was a good stepping stone. But I think that at one point I just kind of felt like I was done, if that makes sense, and wanted to do something a little bit bigger and not necessarily better, but just something with a little bit more opportunities and stuff. And I think all my life, I was raised in really small towns, and I just felt like I wanted to explore more of the world and sort of get out I don't know. I'm always on the go. I always want to kind of go and explore and do new things. And I think that was part of like leaving Canada, was to, go somewhere new. Again, that had sort of a little bit more diversity and a little bit more options and things to do. So, yeah.
I just came back from Canada 2 weeks ago.
Oh, where were you?
I was in Montreal, on the French side.
Oh yeah, Montreal's beautiful. I like Montreal a lot. It's very nice.
Yeah, I've been 3 times there, and my best friend, he lives there, and he just had a baby 2 years ago, my godson. So I went to meet for the very first time, and I spent Christmas on cold, snowing. It was snowing on Christmas Day, so it was amazing.
Yeah, nice. I know I always said that if I ever moved back to Canada, it would be probably like someplace like Montreal. But again, that was a little bit more, a little bit different, a little bit unique and stuff. But yeah, Montreal is beautiful. I'm in Chicago today, and it's cold here and snowing. So.
And what do you do for a living, Ryan?
So I started an event production company almost 14 years ago, in LA. I've been doing events since I was about 20. So I branched out and started my own business, and I have a couple of employees, and I do cause-related events, which basically means I don't do like weddings or bar mitzvahs, that kind of thing, but I do like fundraisers, educational events, conferences on environmental issues, that kind of thing. My company is sort of based on making the world a better place, one event at a time. So I try to focus on things that are, a positive influence on the world as much as I can. So.
Amazing. And what was the biggest inspiration for you to start out your company?
I would say, again, I think that I kind of crave diversity, and as much as I like having a routine, I like being able to do new things and different things. And I think that by having my own business, I can say yes and no to different clients that I want to work with. But it also allows me the opportunity to sort of travel and to do different things for different people. I worked for an organization in Los Angeles when I first moved there, and it was a great job, and I really liked it. But I was at the same place for 8 years, and I think that I would, had kind of done everything that I could at that one place. So I wanted to spread my wings a little bit and try things kind of all over. And I like that about what I do now, is that I get to travel and I get to go to new cities and get to meet new people, and I'm kind of always on the go. So that was sort of the inspiration for me starting. And I think that, being your own boss is also a super unique, beneficial opportunity. It's not always the best. It's not always the easiest, because I feel like I work all the time and I never really have time off, even if I plan to go away somewhere. Like I could be in a different country or whatever, but I'm always working and always checking my email. But at the same time, I mean, the fact that I'm in a different country, checking my email and working on things, I think is a benefit. So it definitely has its positives and negatives, but I think that I definitely side on the positive side. So.
Amazing, Ryan. So, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
Okay, sure.
Well, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Okay. So, my best friends, full of random fun questions, okay? I'm just going to play a song now just for us to move a little bit before the first question, okay?
Yep.
Let's do it. Ryan, so just before we start the game, so through the journey, if there is a question that you don't want to answer for some reason, you don't want to talk about, I always can change, okay? It's all very friendly, okay?
Yep, cool.
First question for you is, what did you want to be growing up?
Two-part question, or two-part answer, I guess. I think when I was young, I thought that I would be a teacher. I thought that that was kind of what I wanted to do. At another point in my life, I had also said that I was going to be a priest. I was raised Catholic, but to me, the reasons for wanting to be a priest was probably related to my sexuality, and being able to not have to get married and explain it, I think, was probably the reason that I considered being a priest, is that, I knew I would never have to get married and have kids, and I wouldn't have to explain it to anyone. So probably those are the two things that stick out the most.
You made me remember now, as a child, my mom thought that I would be a priest.
Really?
For the fact that I was in the church all the time. And actually, I loved being in the church at the time. I was singing the choir, I was helping the events, I was helping the priest doing the math. So I just loved it. I think the whole part of the mass, I think that's why I was involved. And she literally thought that I would be a priest. I didn't have the gift. To look back, I don't think I could be a priest, but I loved the time when I spent in the church every Sunday, Saturday, sometimes I was going as well. And just like the whole atmosphere. So she thought that I'd be a priest for sure.
Yeah. No, I get it. And putting on the outfits, right? I was an altar boy, so I got to wear the pretty dress.
Yeah, yes, I remember.
and the show of it all, and being able to ring the bells in between, when it's, So yeah, it was the drama behind it. It was like putting on a show, right? So
yeah. The whole attention, I think, all like a show during the math.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, that was what I wanted to do. But then, quite honestly, like I couldn't wait to not have to go to church anymore. So once I got into my teenage years, I was like, I'm not going anymore. I don't like it.
And do you have siblings as well?
Do I have siblings? I do. I have an older brother, yes, that he lives in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So yeah, and then he has some kids, and one of his daughters is expecting now, so that's exciting. But
oh God, amazing.
I told her, I said, you can't tell anyone I'm going to be a great uncle. You just have to say I'm the uncle.
Next one, let's do it. Next question for you is, where is the most exotic place you ever been?
Most exotic place? I would say, when I was 15, 16, I went to Australia as an exchange student, and I lived in Australia for a year. And I would say that was an amazing experience. I think that I went on a couple of little sort of side trips to different parts of Australia and up to Cairns, and went to the Great Barrier Reef and stuff, and that was pretty amazing and pretty exotic. So yeah, I would say that's probably the most exotic and thinking about tropical, beautiful / sunny with like beautiful nature stuff is that's what I'm.
Have you been back since then?
I have. I went back. I've been back once or twice. Once, I think. I've been back once and have been like to Sydney and whatnot. I stayed with a couple. I stayed with two women there, a mother and a daughter, and I've been back to visit them, and they've been here to visit me in the U.S. But I would definitely like to go back. I worry that if I do go back, I'll want to stay there though, and I won't want to come back. So.
Next one. Before the next question, tell me what's the best part of living in LA, and what's the most challenging part?
The best part of living in Los Angeles, I would say, is the weather for sure. The weather is very consistent. It's usually always really warm. There's tons of outdoor activities to do, which I really like. So I like to go hiking. I like to go to the beach. I have a Jeep, so I have to get to take my top off. So I definitely like the weather in Los Angeles. I would say challenging things are the things that everybody knows about Los Angeles, which is traffic. And especially lately, in the past couple of years, the homeless population and issue has kind of become a real hindrance on living in the city for sure. So.
Wow. Next question for you is, if you met someone...
music?
Oh, no, I asked before the next question. I was like...
okay.
You like dancing? I can see.
I'm just teasing you.
We can dance again if you'd like to.
That's okay. We can keep moving on.
If you met someone sad in the street, what would be your approach to the situation or your advice?
I think that, part of our purpose and what we're here to do is to, take the focus off of ourselves sometimes and put it onto other people. And I think that, part of life is being, the sunshine in someone else's day. So, as much as I don't think that I can take on everyone else's problems or sort of fix everyone's issues, I think that it's always a benefit to represent sunshine to someone else and sort of give them the sunshine that they might be missing, even though, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going to solve anyone's issues, but, trying to be positive and be helpful, I think takes the focus off myself as well. If I'm having issues, and there's always someone else that has something else that's going on as well. So I think it's a benefit to me and to the other person if I can, again, sort of help them get out of, at least give them a glimmer of hope of kind. So
did you ever have a situation that you could share, that you met some random person in the street that you could see that was going through a tough time, or something that you it touched you somehow and you had a different approach or not?
I think that in being not just random people on the street too, but having employees that work for myself and my company, sometimes there's, you can definitely tell that there's times that people are, either stressed out or freaked out about things or not having a good day. And I think that it's important to, pay attention to those kind of things and take the opportunity to take a break, go have a coffee, go for a walk, do something to kind of help alleviate that stress for that person, I think is really beneficial. I try to kind of pay attention to that kind of stuff and, try to make things as enjoyable as possible, I guess. So
very good. Next question. Let's do it. Next question for you, Ryan. If you could change something in yourself or about yourself, what that would be and why?
That's a good question. I guess superficially, if I could change something about myself, I have some love handles at the back of my waist that really kind of drive me nuts. So that's one thing, which is a total superficial question, but I'm going to be honest. So that's one thing. I think that I spend a lot of time worrying about things, and I wish that I didn't. I know that, especially like looking back now at COVID and sort of the whole thing that happened. I mean, obviously for someone in my business, like doing event production, it was like really terrible. I basically went from being like a super, super, super busy person to not having anything to do and no purpose, right? Because everything kind of got canceled and events were kind of the last thing to come back and are still being affected by it. So I think for me, I noticed that two things. First off is that I noticed I spent a lot of time worrying about what was going to happen and what I was going to do, not really trusting that things would get better at some point. I mean, they're still not better, but they're better. So I think that I had a lot of wasted time worrying about things, but having never gone through a pandemic before, I didn't really know what the outcome was going to be. So that was unfortunate, and I wish I would have just trusted that things would have worked out. But of course, I was a worst case scenario thinker. So worrying was definitely one. And then I think that the other thing that I learned and that I am working on or should work on is having better balance in my life. I think that when, again, the pandemic happened, because I was so heavily involved in sort of my job and like working all the time, I realized that I didn't have good balance because I don't really have a ton of friends that I see on a regular basis. So I didn't really have friends to kind of go back on. I've been single for 12 years, so I don't have a relationship. So there was just things that I noticed in my life that once my work went away, I didn't really have a lot of other things to kind of focus on. So I think that those are two things that I could probably, concentrate a little bit on. So
I think that just the fact that you are aware that is already halfway of the journey of improvement. You know what I mean? Just the fact that you accepted, it's there. So that's you are going the right direction.
Yeah. But what have I done about it? That's the other thing. Right?
You still can do every day.
Yeah, I'm not really going on dates or anything, and not really, putting any effort into all that. But it's okay.
But why you feel not going on the dates? Just like don't have time for it. You just don't believe it. You just don't. You just don't see the point of it.
So to me, I mean, it's not really something that you could force, right? Like you can't force a relationship, definitely. So, and I kind of am in the thought that if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I certainly try to live my life as someone who enjoys life regardless. Like I don't stop myself from doing things. I go out, I travel, I meet people. So I definitely have a good life. I'm not going to complain about that. And if there's going to be someone to share it with, great. But if not, I'm certainly not going to hold myself back. And I don't really worry about it either. Like I think it used to bug me a little bit more in the past, but now I'm like quite, I'm really happy being, who I am and what I am. And again, like I try to make myself happy every day. So I don't rely on someone else too. So, and I think that it would be, in order for me to be in a relationship, it would have to be someone that is of the same mindset that I am, that's really happy in their own life, that really takes care of themselves, and not someone that needs to have someone in their life, if that makes sense. So to me, if it happens, it happens, great. If not, then, it wasn't meant to be, so.
Is your star sign Scorpio on the astrology?
No, it's Gemini.
Oh my God, so interesting, because the last phrase you said, it's a very Scorpio thing, because we are very independent. Scorpio, they are okay. I've been seeing for like 6 years now, and people go like, how come? I said, my God, when happens, happens. When you know what I mean. There are no rules. People they go like, oh, you need to be someone, or why? There are no rules. When happens.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool.
Excellent. Let's do it. Ryan from LA, tell me, what's the most challenging part of your job?
I would say being a boss is probably the most challenging part. I didn't go into, having an event company to be a boss. And I think that, I've certainly gained experience over the last, 12, 13 years, but I think that, I have a lot to learn still in being, a supervisor and, hiring and firing people and training people. And I think that, it's like the whole human resources part of it is something that, I didn't really have a lot of experience in. So I think that I've learned a lot about that. So I think that that's probably the most challenging, right? Like, knowing what's the right thing to do and what's the right thing to say, and what I can say and what I can't say. I do events because I like doing events, because that's kind of the part that I like about it. So there's a lot of other things that came along with the job that I don't think 100% prepared for, that I kind of had to learn along the way. So I would say that that's probably the most challenging, right? Like motivating people and, making them happy, and, knowing how to discipline someone without making them feel terrible, and that kind of stuff is, something that you have to kind of work on, and not let your emotions get in the way, but have it be sort of a disciplinary action, perhaps, that's not going to be taken offensively. So that's definitely something that I find challenging. But I'm lucky. My best friend lives in London, and he is actually a HR princess. So he's not a real princess, but he has been in HR his whole life. So I often will call him and say, hey, this is the situation. Can you help me out and give me some advice? And he does, which is good. And I try to follow it as much as I can because it makes sense. So yeah.
Good for you. Lucky.
Yes, I'm very lucky in that way, for sure.
Next question is, what do you think people need to know about each other before they start a relationship?
Well, especially, I would say especially in gay relationships, like two men are unique in that, I like I said, I've been single for 12 years, so I've not had a relationship that had to deal with like social media, Grindr, all the apps and all that kind of stuff. So I think that, for people that are getting into a relationship, I think it's really important to have an honest and open discussion about monogamy and that kind of part of relationships and how that kind of plays in, because I think that people have different views on that. So I think that that's something important. For me, I don't know if it's something I could do or not, because I haven't had to be in a relationship with kind of the changing world that we live in, I guess. So I think that having an open, honest discussion about that. In relationships, the other thing probably I would say is, just what are goals and aspirations in life, and where do people see each other being and going, I think is another important thing too. Some people get into relationships because they like the companionship, whereas some people get into a relationship because they want to build a house and a home with someone else. So I think that you would have to have alignment on that to make it successful as well. So those are kind of the two things that I think that, there's a plethora of other things that she probably talked about, but those are the two things that I would probably suggest that people talk about. But I have a lot of suggestions and a lot of opinions, and I like to voice them, but I don't have a lot of experience. So you can kind of take it or leave it, right?
Let's say a date, watching the interview, go on a date with you. What's a must, and what this guy must have, and what this guy must not have to go on a date with you?
To go on a date, or to go on a date with me, I would say, well, I can tell you about a couple of dates that didn't go well and why they didn't go well. How's that? So I went on a date with one guy that's a Canadian, actually, that lives in Los Angeles. And he had super strong religious views that we talked about on the date. And we definitely had some headbutting going, not headbutt, yeah, we definitely had conflict going on, because I told you how I was raised Catholic and all that kind of stuff. And what my religious views have definitely changed since when I was a little boy. So I am not a religious person. I do believe that people should be able to believe in whatever they want, because that's what it is. It's a belief. So I think that people can believe whatever they want. But I have a real issue with people that force their beliefs on other people or believe that their way is the right way. So I think that that is something that I would not be able to have dates with someone that had super strong religious views, I think would be one thing. What else? Someone that takes care of themselves. I think that I, take really good care of myself. I live really healthy. I don't drink, I try to get out and exercise as often as possible. And I would probably want to make sure that I was with someone that also did the same. So I wouldn't want to go out with some, that was another bad date that I've been on, is going on a date with a friend of mine. Set me up with a friend of hers. And he had been at a work party before we went on our date, and then continued to drink while we were on our date and got extremely hammered, and I was completely sober, so that wasn't fun either. So
oops.
Right? No, yeah.
Imagine, there's no connection at all. Imagine, he was another word. Oh dear.
That was not fun, but yeah. Anyway.
Experience. Dates brings experience as well.
Yeah.
Next.
Experience. Exactly.
Next one. Before the next one, when you think about Vancouver, what is the best memories that comes into your mind?
So I told you about my best friend that lives in London. We met in Vancouver, and there was probably four of us that hung out together on a regular basis. So I think that the friendships that I built when I was younger are the good memories that I have about Vancouver. Um, I loved, the city, the wetness of it, the greenness of it, I don't know. I have good memories about Vancouver, but I would say that the best thing that I remember about it is the relationships that I built there, and in particular the relationship that I have with my best friend. So,
Very good. Next question for you is, what are three fun facts about yourself?
Three fun facts about Ryan. Let me think. Fun facts. That's a hard question. I like the water and tropical things and anything to do with the water. I scuba dive, and I have 2 fish tanks. So I guess that's kind of a fun fact, right? Fun fact, I have a hard time sitting still. I like to always be on the go. So that's a fun fact.
I'll connect. All right, okay. I'll take
how
that.
About 2? 2 is okay, right?
Amazing.
Okay.
Next one. Right. Tell us, what is your funniest memory of your time at school?
I would say I remember when I was young, I can't remember her name. This is probably when I was in kindergarten or grade 1. And I remember I was sitting on the swings outside with some friends of mine, and people were talking about a girl that was in our school that was not very attractive. And I remember telling them that she might be ugly now, but that she'll be pretty when she could be really pretty when she grows up. So they should be nice to her. So that's something I remember. And then I remember, I don't necessarily know if it was fun, but there was a teacher that I had, a math teacher, Mr. Picton was his name. And when I was younger, I would get like big zits on my nose, really big zits. And I remember he stopped and started talking about the pimple on my nose in the middle of math class one day, and I was super pissed about it. So I don't know if that's necessarily a fun memory, but that's a memory from school. So
Funny one. Next question. Next question for you, Ryan. What would your ideal life look like?
My ideal life. So I would love to be able to build my own home. And I think that would be a really fun project to do. I think my ideal life is one that has moments of peace and tranquility, but also adventure and exploration. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be with a partner or somebody else, but I would like to have a home that I can call a home. And I think that building something would be super fun. And it doesn't need to be big and beautiful. It just needs to be something that I get to create. And yeah, I mean, I think my life is pretty ideal now. I mean, there's definitely steps that I'd like to take to make it a little, obviously I think about the future and, and getting older and kind of how I want to, live out the rest of my time. But yeah, I think that would be super important. My ideal life, I wish I didn't worry so much about politics, and I wish that, the state of our world is kind of freaky right now. So it's hard not to think about that in the future too. Like, do I include that in my ideal life situation? Is that we don't live in a country like the US is so divided. It's kind of a scary future as far as the things that are going on today, like with, talks of war and fighting and, the politics here. And, I don't want to talk about the last administration, but that kind of opened up a whole Pandora's box, I think, that has certainly changed a lot of society and sort of opened up a lot of evil. So that kind of freaks me out too. So my ideal life is that we wouldn't be kind of dealing with that, but there's not a whole lot I can do about that, right? So I kind of sabotaged that question, didn't I, and took us in a negative direction. I probably shouldn't have, but those are the things that I think about.
This house that you want to build from the scratch, it's based in LA. Do you see yourself living in LA for a while, for a long time?
So it's really hard to think about living somewhere other than LA because of the reasons that I moved to Los Angeles. Like the weather is amazing, the opportunity and stuff that's there. Los Angeles is a very expensive place to live. my ideal place I see being somewhere that has good weather. So I think that that's super important to me, is to live somewhere that has good weather. And good weather to me is no snow and not 8 months of rain. So somewhere that's kind of sunny and beautiful is kind of where I see myself. So it doesn't necessarily have to be LA, but it would have to be somewhere that has decent weather that's not too cold. Yeah, so could be Mexico. I would be fine with that. So
excellent. Ryan, next question is, what makes you really angry?
Oh, Donald Trump just makes me really angry. I get so bent out of shape about politics, and I never used to really pay attention to politics. And I wish I could go back to that, where I didn't care about things, and I didn't care about voting rights, and I didn't care about the woman's right to choose, and I didn't care about gay marriage, and all these things that I wish I didn't care about. Those are the things that make me really angry, is that things. I mean, I was talking about religion earlier, and that I think that we should all be able to believe in what we want to believe in, and I don't think that there should be governments telling us what our rights are, and the church and state separation is really important. So those are the things that make me really angry. I also I don't know if you want me to keep going because it's supposed to be positive, but things that make me really angry, people that don't show up when they say that they're going to. I think that I'm a sober individual. I'm a sober man. I've been sober for 12 years, as long as I've been single, which is interesting. But when people make a commitment, I expect people to keep it. And that's part of the thing that, when I make a commitment, I try as much as I can to keep it, right? And to be an honest person. And I get really angry when people don't have the same commitment, right? I also have issues with people that aren't on time, because to me, that's also a commitment. And there's a difference between being 15 minutes late and an hour late. 15 minutes is late, and an hour is alternative plans. So.
And what is your reaction when this kind of situation happens?
I'm not good at my reaction is not positive. I will wait 20 minutes. And if it's more than that, I'll leave. I've been on dates where I've been waiting for someone, and I'll just leave. If they're more than 20 minutes late, I just leave. I don't know, because I plan my day around, I'll skip going to the gym, or I'll make sure that I eat earlier, or I'll, get up earlier in the morning so I can leave work earlier. I rearrange things so that I can be on time. And if someone else can't, then I get upset about it, and I find it disrespectful. So
the message is out there.
Yes. And I don't not tell people about it either, right? I'm very forthcoming with that.
What are you drinking, by the way?
So coffee, but I made two, because I like coffee in the morning. So I knew I wouldn't be able to get up to get myself another cup if I went out. So I made 2 cups of coffee.
3 questions left for you.
Okay.
Next question, Ryan. What things do you consider to be the relationship deal breakers?
Relationship deal breakers, dishonesty. Dishonesty to me is a deal breaker. I think that, especially the things that we talked about earlier, like monogamy and all that kind of stuff, I think that it's important to be honest about it, even if that means a don't ask, don't tell situation. At least you talked about it, and it's a mutual understanding. So dishonesty and yeah, I would say dishonesty. Dishonesty could be a lot of different things. So I think that it's definitely a deal breaker in a lot of different ways, right? It could be dishonesty about taking money from a shared bank account, or it could be dishonesty about what you were doing, or about the monogamy thing. So I think dishonesty kind of covers a lot of things. So that's my big deal breaker. And I think it covers 2, right? Kind of 2, right? Because deal breaker, it's a deal breaker.
Sure. And do you talking about relationship, do you think that LA, big cities like LA, in the gay scene, is quite difficult to maintain a relationship or to start a relationship in the gay scene? Or what's your understanding of it?
I mean, I know people that have been in relationships for a long time, and I think that it's just about communication. But yeah, I would say that, I mean, I think that people adjust, right? And like what I've seen over the last however long I've been in LA is that, and maybe it has been prevalent before, but I didn't notice it. But like, again, the open relationship thing, I think is kind of adjusting to like just having so many options, right? Like if you live in a small town, I think it would be a lot easier to be monogamous with your partner. Whereas if you're living in like a city like Los Angeles, where it's like being in a candy shop. I mean, you could, be with a different person every day and never have to see them again. So I think that, in some sense, like, open relationships are just adjusting to that situation, right? Like, so yeah, I would say that I don't know if, again, like, I think dating is difficult. I think that I found it difficult. And yeah, I think it would be super difficult to be in a relationship in a city like Los Angeles because there are so many options, right? And people are, everybody wants the next best thing and is kind of always looking over their shoulder for the next best thing. And I think that if you are in a relationship, it's almost like the easy way out, right? Like, oh, well, we're open, so we can sleep with whoever we want, but we still get to go home together. So it's kind of like having your cake and getting to eat it too, right? So I don't necessarily know if that's for me. And I think that's kind of part of the other reasons maybe why I don't get in a relationship is because I don't really know if I want to share my boyfriend with everybody, right? So
absolutely. Good point. 2 questions left.
Okay.
Let's do it. Before the next question, what's your company stands out with the other ones, with the competition around? What's something new, different that stands out?
Again, I think that I mean, there's other companies that do nonprofit events and they do like, they kind of do a mix mash of other events as well. I think that my focus is on, again, sort of doing events that are making the world a better place. And I think that that's my focus. So I think that that's what really stands out. I would say that, I'm super passionate about what I do, and I work really hard, and the staff that I have also work really hard. We do a really good job. So I would say that our dedication to our clients and sort of making things a positive experience for everyone is definitely, something that we take really seriously. So I would say that is kind of an important thing. My business is based on, again, trying to be helpful and trying to do good. So I think that, we don't focus on trying to make a ton of money, right? Like I make enough money that I can pay my team and that I can pay myself and we can kind of make it through, but it's not about, becoming rich or, having a company that could go to, the top Fortune 500, because that's not necessarily true, but it's just, feeling good about what I do. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Next question for you is,
yes.
That question now. If your plane was going down,
yes,
and if you could call just one person to say goodbye, who that would be and why?
Definitely I would say my mother, right? Because she's been there since the beginning with me. Yeah, I would definitely say my mother, just to tell her that I love her. And yeah, I think that's an easy one. So, I mean, that's not something I haven't thought about, of course, in the past. So I think that's true. So
good. She'll be very happy to know that.
Yes, she would. Exactly.
Last question. Ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. Before the last question, we mentioned before about the COVID crisis. That's, of course, I think this business is one of the most affected ones, events and hospitality. But looking back, what's the most positive thing you took out of this challenge journey?
Again, sort of the things that maybe we had chatted about earlier, that worrying less and maybe just believing that things are going to be okay and things will work out. I think that that's something that definitely became prevalent and is something that I think about whenever I start to worry about things like, oh, well, look how, this last 2 years or year and a half kind of worked out everything. I'm still here. I didn't have to like pack up my life and put it in a box and I'm not homeless. So, and those were the things I worried about, right? Like what's going to happen? Where am I going to go? Am I going to have to move back home? Am I going to have to do this, that, and things worked out. So I think it's just, I learned that, just to trust more in a situation and to worry less. So I think that that's, probably the biggest message for me is that things worked out. You trust in that. Yeah.
Next question, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What is the biggest difference between you and your best friend?
Well, I'm the pretty one, so I mean that's the easy question to answer right there.
Besides that,
I don't know. We're pretty similar individuals. I think that a big difference is that he's always in a relationship, and I'm not. So I would say that that's a pretty big difference. But otherwise, we're pretty similar. We think similarly. We both like to be crazy and silly. We both value each other. We can, not see each other for a year or two and get together and it's like we, never left. Or we can see each other for 5 minutes and sit there and talk about nothing or not even talk and be super comfortable with one another. So, what are the biggest differences? He makes a hell of a lot more money than I do. So that's another big difference. And he lives in London and I live in Los Angeles, which is also another big difference.
Great.
Yeah.
It's not the end yet. Okay, let's play now the word association game. So I'm going to give away some words and you just tell me one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Yes.
Let's start with family.
Love.
Money.
Shopping.
How about love?
Self-love.
One word for sex.
Sex. Exploration.
One word for life.
Happiness.
Politics.
Hate.
Religion.
Hate.
Fear.
Trust.
Friendship.
Love.
Desire.
Sex.
Regret.
Love.
Success.
Peace.
One word for wish.
Magic.
One word for happiness.
Love.
One word for Los Angeles.
Opportunity.
One word for Vancouver.
Memories.
One word for Canada.
Liberal.
It's your surname, Zynger or Zynger?
Zynger.
Okay, one word for Zynger events.
Zynger events. Opportunity, maybe.
Okay. Let's pretend now I'm going for a cup of tea with your best friend here in London, along with the Queen, the royal family. I'm joking.
Yes. That sounds really fun. Is Prince Andrew invited? Isn't he the bad one?
It depends. I always want to. Let's not go there, okay? Let's leave him. Let's leave him there.
Okay.
He's not going to be invited. No, he's not invited for that time. He's busy. He's too busy.
What about Meghan Markle? Is she going?
I don't think she's here in England, actually.
Oh, she's in LA.
I think.
Okay.
Anyway, so let's cut down a little bit. So let's go just to you, your best friend and me. We're going to have a cup of tea in London. And I'm going to ask him, tell me the most beautiful thing about Ryan and tell me something that he still needs to work on, to improve on. What do you think your best friend would tell me?
He would say the most beautiful thing about me is that probably the relationship that we have with one another and that we can talk so openly and freely and honestly. He's not always honest with me, but I try to be honest with him. And if there was things that I needed to work on, I know that he would love to see me be in a relationship, and he reminds me all of the time and always asks about it. So that's probably the thing that he would say that I need to work on.
Work in progress?
Yeah, work in progress.
Good for you. Let's play now, Ryan and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But before that, let's play the music one more time.
Okay.
Right, Ryan, you can ask me a question now.
Okay. Maybe I'm going to ask you two.
Okay.
Okay, so because we seem to be doing things in twos. So my first question is, if you could have tea with anybody in the world, who would it be? Dead or alive?
Okay, it's going to be a very easy answer. I would love to have a cup of tea with Prince William. I don't know, I've always been connected. Actually, we were born the same year, 1982, actually. But yeah, he was born in June, but I'm from November. Anyway, so I don't know, I think I always loved Princess Diana. I think that's always had this connection. When I see him talking, or, you know, in royal events, or even talk as a normal person, I don't know, I just have this, I could see some charisma that I just like the way he approaches, you know what I mean, life. And I think he, because of his parents, went through a lot of troubles, and I think he's been trying hard and beautifully to have a beautiful family, and to do the opposite. And I think he's doing very well. And I don't know, I always had this let's say fascination, or I just always, when I see him for some reason, or talking or on TV, I just get my attention. I think it's beautiful the way he talks, or the way he approaches life. Yeah, I'd love to sit with him one day and just have a cup of tea, and just to feel his vibe.
Nice, that's good one. And then I like him too. He's great. I wouldn't pick him to go for tea though. And then my second question is, if there is one moment in your life that you could live again, what would it be? And then it's a two-part question, because would you keep it the same, or would you do something differently?
A good question. Right, Ryan. The first thing that came to my mind was when I was 19 years old, I had the opportunity to leave Brazil, to live in Portugal. I was living there for 5 years before I moved to the UK, and I remember the moments when it makes me emotional sometimes when I remember this moment when I left Brazil for the very first time. I remember my mom at the airport, and I was 19, and I remember being on a plane. I remember it was the first time. I was full of emotions. A lot of things was happening at the time. I'm gonna write a book, actually, how I got, you know what I mean, the ticket for the plane. It was an adventure, and I look back. Anyway, saying that, I never forget the moment when I sat down in the plane for the very first time, because my state where I come from is called Mato Grosso. It's like 2 hours by plane from Rio, São Paulo, the big cities. So I had two planes, one to Rio and from Rio to Portugal. And I never forget the moment when I sat down in the plane, and I was with a lady by my side, the one who I went to Portugal. And when I sat down, and she just said to me, "William, are you ready? Do you know how to put the seatbelt?" And I was looking the window, and she was like, "William, are you here?" I was like, "Oh my God." I kind of wake up, and I was like, "My God, I made it. I'm going to Europe." At the moment, because my emotions was happening, you know, everything was happening at the same time. And for a moment, I look up at the window, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm here in the plane." And suddenly, she was literally talking to me, and I was lost in my thoughts. And she was like, "Do you know how to put the seatbelt?" I was like, oh no, please, can you help me? And she helped me. So that moment for me, when I realized that, my God, I made it happen. I'm going to Europe. I'm going to Portugal, and I couldn't believe. So that was the moment. The second part is, I would love to come back there, not to change at all, but just to feel that moment again, because it was so powerful, and it was so brave, and you know, I didn't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know what, I knew I was going to Portugal, but I didn't know anything, what the world was waiting for me, what my future was there waiting for me. And all this emotion that I had, like, for a few seconds, and I wouldn't change at all. I wouldn't change, because that moment is a moment that I will always remember. And sometimes when I feel myself in a moment of insecurity or feeling down or bad for some reason, I go back to that moment. And say, you know what? If you could make happen that time, why you cannot make happen again? So let's, pick yourself up and follow your dreams and carry on with life. I think we have moments all the time. These moments I had at the time, sitting in the plane for the very first time, you can find this moment anytime in life. You know, you just need to be persistent and believe that you can make things happen if you believe, if you go after it, and if you feel the emotion, if you feel that we are able to do, why not? So yeah, beautiful question. I love the question. So yeah, that moment for me was very special.
Good. Very nice. Like that.
Cool. Ryan, did you enjoy the interview?
I did, yes. It was very fun.
Thanks so much for taking your time. I know you are very busy, man, and you took the time for to spend with me during the interview. But before you go, I would like to share a positive message or a positive quote, something that inspires your life.
Yeah, so I think that's something that we had chatted about a little bit earlier too, was doing things to inspire other people, or doing things to like get people out of a bad headspace or a bad situation. So my quote would be to be somebody else's rainbow.
Oh, sweet. So simple.
Yep, so simple.
Absolutely.
So simple, but so like, I mean, you don't need a lot of explanation about it, right? So be
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It says everything. Right, thanks so much. It was a pleasure connecting with you. And keep it okay? Keep in touch. One day when you land, let me know. Okay, absolutely. We'll do for sure. Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.